From the ground, I hear them calling your brother's blood. What can grow here? What have we done? From the soil, hear them crying, your sister's blood. What can grow? What have we done? Welcome, everybody. Great to see so many people here. My name is Eva. I'm hosting this event, and we wanted to start off with that gorgeous song that was just released about a month ago by a Jewish American musician, Ali Halpert, who I am in a music community with. It is dedicated to this moment. And I'd love to hear what the song brought up in you if you want to share in the chat. And one more time, just sharing the link to the lyrics. But welcome, everybody. Shabbat Shalom, Ramadan Mubarak, happy Saturday. Wherever you are in the world, we have people from all different time zones. And I am calling to you from Guatemala. Normally, I live in San Francisco Bay Area in California. And I'm really honored to be hosting this event, which I've been dreaming of for months. And I decided to put this on because I was at a Peace Research Center in Portugal last summer on a retreat of international activists. And I met many beautiful people from around the world, including many Israeli and Palestinian activists who I'm now grateful to be connected to. And one of those was Danielle Schwartz. Wave, Danielle. And Danielle is an amazing, many multifaceted being, researcher, artist, academic, activist. And Danielle showed us a film, Mirror Image, which when I saw, I just felt like, wow, this film is so nuanced. It's so complex. It really brought out my empathy for so many different sides of the equation on an issue that's very dear to me, but can be so hard to talk about, that I felt it's a dream of mine to show this film to more people. So we've been organizing this, and when I first saw the film, it was July, so it was pre-October 7th. You know, now it's been 5 months of this horrific events that have been happening in Israel and Gaza and West Bank, and we decided to organize the screening to share with you an 11-minute thing that's going to spark many feelings and many thoughts, and then we'll hear from Danielle, and then we'll hear from some panelists who we have. Dear friend Rotem, raise your hand. Thank you, Rotem, for being here. Rotem is an Israeli peace activist, and he's recently come back to Israel after 5 months in Germany, being on tour, speaking with a Palestinian friend and giving tons and tons of talks about his experience. And so we have Rotem, and then we will also have with us Aida, who's a Bedouin Palestinian peace activist who lives at Tamara Peace Center in Portugal. And then we will also have dear friend Ismail, who is a Palestinian living in New York and a member of Combatants for Peace. So we have a great group here. And then we have all of you who you'll be definitely bringing your voices into the mix. Since we have a larger number, we'll be having breakout groups. And so I'd really encourage you to go into those immediately after we watch the film. You will get a chance to go into rooms and share about how the film struck you. And then we'll come back and you'll get a chance to ask questions. So welcome again if you're just joining. And the point of why we're here is to use this film as food for thought, to reflect on history and use that as a way to reflect on the current moment. And Danielle, the filmmaker, she said something really beautiful to me about why she's here, which is to help us make new patterns of thought, new patterns that can help us in the great turning, which is a moment of great transition we're in the world, so that we can move towards more connection and authenticity and truth-telling. You'll see that the film is really about questions of truth-telling and what is truth, multiple truths, and really empathy. So before we proceed, I just want to explain a few norms of the event. You know, when we're addressing this topic, we really need to have some norms, but I do trust everybody here. So it's a respectful event, meaning that it's not about saying every disagreement we have. Not every thought or disagreement needs to be voiced, but we do also want to make it a safe space for people to share feelings and thoughts. So it's not about debating or fear. It's an exchange. Also, let's just stay on mute unless you're unless you're called on by a facilitator. And I don't expect this to happen, but if someone is interrupting and breaking norms, we will remove them, because that's happened on other events I've been on. If you need any tech support, message my dear Dave, who is called Dave Tech Support. And if you have any questions for the panelists today, you can put them in.
I'm sorry. No, you can come. I need your help.
And if you have any questions for the panelists throughout the event while you're watching the movie or at any time, you can put them in the chat, and tech support will make sure that we get those. Does that make all sense? Norms feel good, everybody? Thank you. Okay, and last thing, we are recording this because of it being on Shabbat and Ramadan and so many things, not everyone was able to attend. So I'll be sharing it with people who registered, but I won't be recording the piece where the film is played because this film it's a special treat to be able to see it. And we don't want that to be just out on the internet everywhere. So we'll be pausing it during the film, but the rest of it will be recorded. And if you don't want your voice or face recorded, you can just turn off your video and breakout rooms won't be recorded. And yeah, if you don't want to speak out loud, you can always chat. So that's how we're trying to make this accessible. So I invite you into a brief meditation now, if you want to just look away from the screen or close your eyes. And this is just to relax our bodies and enter a space of receptivity, preparing yourself to be in openness, curiosity, allowing yourself to relax into this space and allow yourself to be surprised and moved. Knowing that whatever emotions may come up are welcome, and this topic has so much history and depth, and we are here to spread whatever good we can. So bringing your body to awareness, maybe rubbing your hands together, get some warmth. And opening back your eyes, coming into the collective room. And I would like to pass it off now to Danielle to introduce the film.
Okay. Yeah, actually, I don't want to. Hello, I'm Danielle. Can you hear me? Yeah. So, hello, everybody. I'm really excited and happy to be here and honored to be here. And really glad to be under the leadership of Eva because makes me feel calm and safe. So thank you for this container, Eva. Yeah, the film was made in 2013 and it was screened for the first time in yeah, I don't know. I feel actually like I should say more after the screening, if it's okay, because I think that the facts that I will say now are going to frame the story in a certain way. And as you will see, like every word counts. So, but is there something important that I need to say and I didn't?
No, that's fine. Just
Okay.
Danielle, this is a personal film. Danielle interviewed her grandparents and she loves
Yeah,
them.
you will see me in the film basically, and my grandparents, my beloved grandparents.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you so much, Danielle. We'll be hearing from you after. I'm going to put some questions now in the chat in case you're a person who wants some guidance. You can ignore them if you don't. So it says, where do you feel most pain or empathy in the film as you're watching? What did the film strike in you? What do you think are the big takeaways? How does the film make you reflect on the current moment? And do you have any questions for Danielle or the panelists who will speak after? So feel free to use those in your mind as you're watching or not. And I also just want to make a quick note that in the film, we will see a lot of reference to historical events. And for those who are not aware necessarily, there's, of course, this part of history that's often left unspoken, which is in the establishment of the State of Israel in 1948. During that period, hundreds of thousands of Palestinians were displaced and moved, and many people refer to this as the Nakba. And it's a very difficult thing to talk about because there's so much disagreement about this piece of history. And we'll be talking about about how that's shown in the film and how Danielle's grandparents relate to that. So just a piece of context, and now I'm going to get the film set up. Okay, thank you for that film. Thank you all for watching. We're going to immediately send you into groups so you can just have a raw sharing and reflecting before you hear from Danielle and our panelists. So the questions for you to share about in your group are the same that I posed before. Put them back in the chat. And you can also get to know each other in your groups. They're groups of 3 to 4 people from all over the world, interesting folks. So you can introduce yourselves, share about your reflections, and then we'll bring you back in about 15 minutes, and then you'll get a chance to share some of your takeaways.
Thank you, Eva.
Thank you. Hi, Ida, dear. Thank you for coming.
Hey dear. Hello.
Welcome back, everybody. Apologies if you got cut off mid-sentence, as happened in these things, but I hope there was some beautiful connecting. And thank you to someone who I was sharing with who shared with me that they found the conversation in the movie very deep, and they would have loved to share this with their grandparents. And I thought I was thinking about that. That made me think I would also love to share this with my grandparents. And it's an interesting model of conversation and deep dialogue in family, and a question of when to push and when to step back. So now I invite you to share a takeaway or a question that emerged in your breakout room. If you want to use your voice, you can raise your hand and I'll call on you to come off mute and share that, or you can put it in the chat. And we're going to just look at some of these reflections, and then we'll hear from Danielle, and then we'll hear from our panelists. So is there any group that wanted to share a takeaway, a representative from your group, or just speaking from you? Feel free to put those in the chat or out loud. And Rose, go ahead.
Hello, I'm Rosa. I'm from Germany. So I empathize with this kind of discussion quite well. I'm like the second generation after the World War. And I had a very nice conversation with Adrian in the breakout room. And it takes courage to try to seek the truth when it's such a heavy topic, and it can affect your relationships in the family. And nevertheless, I didn't have a choice. Like, for me, I need to find the truth, and it has cost me relationships. And so I can totally empathize that Danielle was emotional when this movie was shot. I would have been as well. And yeah, but it's always the seeking for truth is always colliding with like people trying to maintain the positive self-image, when in truth people can embody many different things that can be seen as good and bad. Like my grandfather was a Nazi soldier. He did things he never talked about, and he absolutely adored his family, and he built the house I grew up in, basically. And So yeah, it's heavy work to reconciliate, but yeah, I think it's needed if you need the truth to move forward and feel like a whole human. So yeah, I'm really grateful I was able to see this interaction with your grandparents, right?
Thank you
for
so
sharing.
Thank you, Huz, for sharing that really great connection with this. Dina, I see you.
Hello, we are students from University of Atlantic College, and we obviously appreciate this little movie clip. It is very powerful, and obviously the narratives are very challenging. However, after watching this, we have a question. So, how would you think of solving this issue in terms of next generation? What are some positive insights into this transgenerational trauma?
Thanks. I heard you as gratitude for the film and how to think of solving this for the next generation. Thank you. And we will come back to these questions in the panel. And next I see Lisa and then Naomi.
Thank you for the film and for the space. In our breakout room, we had an interesting conversation about when to push, and there was curiosity about, is that maybe the only moment, Danielle, you had to push, and that was the one that you chose for this film? Were there multiple moments? Did you go in to tell a Nakba story and your grandparents were the closest to your heart and accessibility? Or did you go in to tell a family story and stumbled across something that was a mystery or that was trauma that needed investigation? Just, it raised curiosity about your family and the story. And there was also the topic of like narrative and identity, and how there was like a transference of, I wouldn't do that, he wouldn't do that, my parents wouldn't do that, his parents wouldn't do that. When he'd said, maybe my parent did, he told the story two ways. But instead of settling on the, we don't know, it could be hard and sad, there ended up taking both sides to go back and forth with it. So we just mused on that, and I'd be really interested to hear more from Danielle.
Thanks. Really interesting questions and musings. So Danielle will address that in a bit. And Naomi.
I had a beautiful conversation with Gareth, so feeling grateful. And both of us had spent some time in Rwanda with the genocide story there. And so we had a conversation about like identity and the mirror metaphor and how people see themselves, and also the pain of that detail, saying, oh, like I went to look at the livestock, but I also went to look at the children playing next door. That detail of the story, like this was an intimate relationship to have children playing with one another, and just feeling into like the pain of that piece, and thinking about intergenerational trauma too, and that plundering word, and things that were taken during the Holocaust, and how we're allowing ourselves to be seen, and this lens of a mirror and traditions around a mirror and identity and what it means to be seen through, and build a wall for this mirror that was plundered and taken in this way that was, presumably violent. I don't want to make too many jumps here, but yeah, that's what our discussion was around, and also how this is shifting our roles in our own communities and faith traditions too.
Thank you, Naomi and Gareth. I see Nadine.
Hi, thanks. So thank you for this film. It was really touching. And I thought at first it is such a minuscule thing about this mirror, but to take it and how it's broadening the subject in this way is really beautiful and captivating. And so the thing that came up for me most was the pain of being good, this pain of doing the right thing and needing to do the right thing. And when your grandpa said that things need to be accurate, the things need to be told accurate, but accurate how? Accurate so that you can stay being good, and not go into the guilt, shame, all these feelings that we don't want to feel. So I'm also curious how much you not just talked with them, but how much you felt. How much did you go into maybe feeling together, holding space for feelings that came up, hard feelings like guilt, shame, pain. Thank you.
Thanks. That's beautifully said and so on point with what I was going to talk with Danielle about right now. So we'll transition to hearing from Danielle. Thank you all for beautiful, deep reflections in the groups and hopefully making some interesting connections. And if you have more questions, you can now start to drop them in the chat and we'll have more time for that. So Danielle, hello. First,
Hey.
thank you. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm feeling really full with these questions. It already raises a lot of thoughts and questions in me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So let's start with Nadine's point about emotions, because I know that that's something you were really pinpointing when we spoke about this, is that when you, in your experience of the interview, and then when you watch the film, you shared with me that you can really see the pain and the emotions in your grandparents, even in their bodies. Can you share a little bit about that? And also about Nadine's question about how much did you get into emotions with your grandparents?
Yeah, I think emotions, it's interesting because, you know, I went to film school because I wanted to make this film, and eventually I really didn't fit in film school. And one of the things that they blame me for is that I'm too conceptual and that like my films lack emotions. And then this film was actually really a very conceptual endeavor because it was really focused around this metaphor of the mirror, but eventually it came out a very emotional film because it's very there is something very burdening, I think, about being a part of this experience. This is also something that people shared with me, that there is left some kind of residue from watching being inside this conversation. There's something heavy about it. Something hard. Everybody's making a lot of effort, you know, everybody's walking between the drops. Yeah, and this is a very emotional topic. And whenever I was trying to get my grandparents to talk about it, they always held like this very calm facade. And they were like, you can make the film. Like, sure, there's like nothing interesting here. There's nothing to talk about. I really don't. Yeah, why you want to make a film about the mirror? Like, it's boring. And eventually, I've shared this in the past, eventually and this also answers the first question that was asked, was I going to, I think it was Lisa that asked, was I going to like search family history and accidentally found this horrible news, this dark secret? No. I was looking for this story because I knew all my life about this mirror, and as I was growing older and I was learning more other perspectives on Israeli history, on my history, I understood more and more what there is this load behind this mirror, and I wanted to investigate it. And my grandfather said, It's not a big deal. And I thought, okay, maybe there's no conflict here. But eventually it was when I posted on Facebook that I'm going to make a film about the mirror that was taken, plundered in the Nakba. My grandfather called me and said that they're no longer ready to cooperate with the film. So this is like when I met his resistance. And so actually the emotions are very connected to these words because these are like trigger words, you know? What are you saying with this word? This word makes me defensive. When you say this word, I feel attacked. I feel judged. I feel like I'm in threat. And you can see this. You can see this on their bodies. You can see this threat. And I think this threat is really important. It's not because I say, oh, look at these people, they feel threatened. It means they feel guilty. It means they're guilty. No, I'm saying I don't even think about guilt and not guilt because like someone else said here, these are my grandparents. They're really, really good people. I'm not the guilt is not an ethical position. It's a feeling. The fact, what you can see is that they feel the guilt. I don't know if guilt is the right word, but they feel a threat around this. And we know that we are very reactive when when people are touching on our wounds. And I'm saying there is a wound there. And it's important that we recognize this wound that is there because we as I'm saying we as kind of like a national subjectivity, even though I'm not in Israel right now, but yeah, like the Israeli collective unconscious is very triggered right now, and it's working from very, very deep triggers and that have not had a chance to regulate. And this is the situation. I hope it makes sense what I said.
Yeah, that was great. Thank you, Danielle.
I wanted to say one more thing if I could. I don't remember who said it about, I think it was Rosa, about like, I also have this need to to get recognition for past disagreements. So if I'm hurt from someone, even if they did something like by mistake, it's really important for me to have some kind of moment where we're like, okay, this is what happened. Right, I didn't want it to happen this way, sorry, okay, and then we can continue. I need like this recognition of the facts. I can't just like continue without having this recognition, and this is a really big problem for me in life because not everybody wants to engage in that. So, but this instinct is also, I guess, what pushed me into this experience of making this film, because I really wanted to be like, okay, it's okay. It happened, but let's just acknowledge it. Let's just recognize that it happened. I really, really wanted this recognition. And when I think about how this film is and this discussion is connected to the present time, yesterday I had the thought about how does it feel like to live knowing that you killed other people? And that must be a very haunting knowledge. And it's something that you have to, I don't know, push away or deal with somehow in order to live. It's a survival mechanism. Okay, and there are different levels of being like far away from this action, you know, maybe you're not the one that pushed the trigger, but you were activating a machine that caused the death, but this is a part, like every person that has to carry this, and I'm not trying to like victimize the perpetrators, but I'm just describing a mental state. Every person who is carrying this has to create some kind of internal detachment in order to survive. And I think that this internal detachment is something that I experienced growing up in my society, in my community, in my family. It was just reality, you know, it was just the norm. I think I'm like starting to look at it in the last years from the outside. And I think this is kind of what I was trying to achieve, is kind of this healing, you know, of like bringing back these parts that are exiled, that are detached, and like to just have everything be a part of the picture. Even those darkest secrets that we're hiding, to really feel entitled to have a right of existence and to be safe as we are, not in our fake personality that we have while we know the truth.
Thanks for adding that. I love what you said about the exiled parts. And yeah, one more question I'll ask for Danielle actually came from Rotem, who's going to be a panelist in a minute, which I love this point that this film was made in 2013, which is 11 years ago. So Danielle, how was it different for you in the beginning of the film being out there versus now? Can you share any reflections over how does the film feel differently for you then and now, or not?
Well, first of all, it looks different because really I think I didn't, and I'm still seeing it, and I'm still like seeing things in it. It keeps evolving in my eyes. And I look at it from different perspective. There was someone that told me a few years ago that this film is not about the Nakba, and she said that the word is even not mentioned there. This is a film about trauma, and I was like, what? I didn't even think about it, you know, like. So I'm seeing different things. Yeah, so I think since in the last years, since making this film, I was very much myself, researching for myself, for my personal development and healing also, and out of intellectual and political curiosity into this issue of trauma and collective post-trauma. So I really see the film now through this perspective, and I also see the current situation, the attack, the war, the violence, the technological violence. I see it also through this perspective. Yeah, certain constructions that we created that allow us to do things that we wouldn't do unless there was this technological and bureaucratic system that is masking the consequences of our actions from ourselves. But somehow we know that it exists, but we're detached from it more because we're just a part of the system. Yeah, and I guess, you know, I remember when I was making the film, there was an Israeli filmmaker, documentarist, a very, very sensitive person that also left Israel. And I was asking a lot of his advice. And at a certain point, he told me like, oh, you're still young, you still have hope. I did a film, he did a film in the 2000s that was still like optimistic. And he told me, I don't have any hope now. It was 10 years ago. So yeah, it's just, I guess, I always felt that the film will remain relevant, but it just seems that it's getting more relevant. We're still in this film, you know, we're still in there.
Yes, indeed. That's why I really wanted to have this moment together. It feels like relevant as ever. Thank you so much, Danielle, and thank you all for the beautiful questions. Not all of them were answered, but now we're going to move to sharing other voices. Thank you so much to my friend Ismail.
Sorry, one second. I forgot to say to Nadine, just to answer her question, it will be half a minute, that no, we did not engage in any kind of more emotional connection and sharing around this. There was a very, very strong wall of protection, I think, emotional protection, that is also visible And I didn't want to challenge it because there are, you know, older people, and I trust their protection mechanism, and it was not about them for me. So I didn't feel like I need to push them into dealing with something that they don't want to deal with. They already went out of their limits a lot. Okay, thank you, Sarah.
Thanks for adding that. And I thought it was so interesting how they changed their mind various times about where the film could be, how comfortable they were with it being out there. And yeah. So now what we're going to do is give some chance to our panelists to speak in response to the film. And for the listeners, you can just be listening with an open heart, taking this in, and you can track your questions either in the chat or keep them with you, because after you'll get a chance to ask questions to our panelists and more to Danielle. So I would like to introduce and give a big gratitude for my friends Ismail, Rotem, and Aida. Thank you three so much for being here and for being in this movement for peace and solidarity. And I know you all represent different pieces of the puzzle, and I want you to feel comfortable just representing yourself. And some questions for you to speak on. Well, first you could introduce yourself to the group, however you want to be introduced. And some questions are, what were your main learnings from the film? Do you have any perspectives that you'd like to share that may be different from Danielle's or similar? Is there something important the film helped you realize or reflect on? And how do you think we can solve this for the next generation? That's one of the questions that came from a Palestinian student who was on the call, I believe, and interpret that however you will. Where are you thinking? Where's your hope or your lack of hope or your future thoughts in the current moment? So let's have anyone, any order you can go. Aida, Ismail, Rotem. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Personally, I would love to hear from Ismail. I didn't hear him for 5 years, and I'm absolutely happy to see him here. So, Ismail, if you are willing to start, I would love it. Also, you are older.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ismail Asaad. I'm a Palestinian. I'm from Hebron. I'm from a village outside of Hebron, next to, there is a town which called it Dawaim. It happened next to this town, massacre there in the Nakba. More than 1,050 Palestinians get killed there, most of them kids and women. I live in US for almost 7 years now. I was working for Combatant for Peace since I moved to US here. And the film was, it's a deep film. For me was those grandparents, like the whole Israeli society was hard for them even to recognize a mirror stolen from Palestinian house. And the deny, it is not just came from those two parents, grandparents. The deny, it is from the whole Israeli society. The majority of the Israeli society, they deny everything for Palestinian, even the Nakba. They talk about the Nakba, but right now there is no one from Israel. There is no one Israeli recognize what happened in the Nakba, which always we call it a war, but it wasn't a war. It was a genocide, not a war. at that time. And for we watched this film together in a time the history repeat himself again and again. Like the grandparents, and somehow they don't recognize the mirror, and they were talking about we are not taking anything, not from us, not for us. In the other way, where they live, their house, where they go, where they shop, where they, every place where they go, it's taking from other. It is taking from other, and the other, they live there, and the other way, they don't know where they are now in earth. They are somewhere in a tent, or they die somewhere, you don't know. Always when I was shared with my friend, the Israeli friend, or when I was work with the Israeli activism, as I was shared, part of the solution when you start to recognize what you did for the others. If you recognize what you did to the others, people, they could forgive you. Because we are, as a Palestinian, we have magic heart. We could forgive without limited. Even if you do something bad to me and you came and you said sorry, or you recognize what you did to me, I forgive you. We don't right now, we don't hear even from the Israeli politician or the Israeli society to recognize the Nakba, and it's continue the history repeat himself, like what Danielle shared. When you are not recognize the thing, you deny the thing, and you make around you walls, not to show yourself guilty, and the people who survived from the Holocaust, to go to other people and to do same thing to other people, that's shameful for them to recognize that. I think in this time we need more courage and more care and more responsibility, because what happened now in Gaza, we work for the last 20-30 years, we work hard to bring people together, to talk to each other, to listen to each other without judgment, and to try to live together, to try to find solution how we could communicate and cooperate together and work together and live together. This war, it's killed the work for almost more than, not just 30 years. This war is destroyed us, destroyed our emotion, destroyed our life, destroyed our feeling, destroyed everything in us. It is a children massacre. And with the whole massacre, the whole terrible situation, we still have hope, because we believe in you, and we believe in people, we believe in love, and we believe in peace. We are, as a Palestinian, we are the one who experienced the pain and the suffering, who experienced the blood and the war. Because of that, we are thirsty for freedom, for love, for peace, to live as anywhere, as any people on earth, anywhere else. We don't need anything more than to live as anyone. Yeah. You know, I having actually a book. I was read this book. You could find it in English too. It's in Arabic. You could find this book in English. This guy who wrote this book, his name is Dawood Asaad, one of the survivor from the Deir Yassin massacre. He was witness for lots of how we call it. Anyway,
قولها بالعربي.
فظاعات.
Atrocities.
Oh, شكرا عايدة. You could find this book and read about this guy. He moved to America in 1951, and since 1951 he studied here and he worked here. The name of the book, Palestine and Wake Up Palestine, or Palestine Wake Up. Anyway, thank you, Eva, so much for doing this. I appreciate that a lot. I love you and I support you always. And thank you guys also for coming together. And please, guys, anyone, your voice is important. Whatever you do, anything you do is important now. It's not just for Gaza. We are looking for a new world, better for all, not just for the Palestinian, because death everywhere, people with hunger. America, 15 million homeless in America. 15 million homeless in the street. We have to be responsible and care about each other. We are different, but we are one in earth. There is no other solution for us. Thank you for having me, Eva. Thank you so much.
Thank you, friend. Your voice is so important, and I will never forget the powerful experience we shared of having you speak your story at the synagogue where I grew up, and seeing how the community responded with you. So now we will let's move to either Rotem or Aida.
Yes. So I will speak. Yeah, for me, what comes up first is this norm, because it reminded me my conversations with my parents, my grandparents. It's not very different. Yeah, the dynamics, and to recognize how much difficult it is for human beings to acknowledge their complicity in war crimes. And the second thing was the fact that the Nakba wasn't mentioned, and the fact that the Palestinian identity wasn't recognized by the grandmother. And again, it's not surprising. This is just one case, but it reflects or represents the way Israel is, as a collective, commemorate the history of Palestine and the history of the Palestinian people, and what happened in 48, and what's Israel's responsibility and part in what happened in 48. And like, I can start and give many examples about how Israel is erasing the history of Palestine. It started from destroying the old villages, and then planting the trees, and then changing the streets and the monuments, and there are many examples. But I think what is important to recognize is, first, what is different from the Nakba and what is happening today, because today we have the same actually atrocities, maybe even harsher atrocities, like more people are being killed, more people are being displaced, and we have it broadcasted live. And you can enter the Instagram and see how they actually stealing the mirrors. and the money. And you can actually see the same scenes, but live, happening right now. And it's interesting to see what will be the response of the society, because this kind of culture of not talking about it, trying to not remember it, to change the history, it will not be possible anymore because the world is watching. This is one. And the second, which is for me the most important thing, is the healing, because in the end of the day, we want to move forward and we want to bring justice and we want to find how we heal together. And also the realization that we cannot heal by ourselves. We need each other to heal. The Israelis need the Palestinians and the Palestinians need the Israelis. And for me, the first step is the recognition, to realize that if we want to make reconciliation, if we want to bring justice, first the oppressor has to recognize its part. And it starts from acknowledging what has happened and what is happening right now, because again, it's the same practices. And then, of course, to ask for forgiveness and to look how we can create justice, either by reparations, compensations, the right of return for the refugees, the right to build the homes, to actually build the homes that were destroyed. And it will be a long process, but without the recognition and the acknowledgement and to take the responsibility, we cannot have healing. Like, there will be no healing before we meet and before we take responsibility. And the problem is that right now, like, the Israeli society is still in a place of not taking responsibility, not wanting to see its complicity. Yeah, more or less. So I believe we have a lot of work to do inside. Yeah, even before we go to make reconciliation, we have to first see and acknowledge our part in this. Yeah. 2 minutes. Eva, I think it was.
Thank you, Rotem. Beautiful, beautiful truth telling. And now we'll go with Aida. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Assalamu alaikum. Ramadan Kareem. And thank you for creating such a space to connect and to feel ourselves in these times. And thank you, Ismail. Thank you, Rotem, for your words. I feel like I don't need to add more. So thank you for amplifying words that I would love to say. And I'm happy that we use this film, this movie, as a metaphor to our times, and also as a gate to connect and to meet. Mahmoud Darwish says this poem, when the war is going to end, the woman asks, and he replies, when we meet. And so when we meet, when we create spaces where we really meet from story to story, from narrative to narrative, we can have a possibility of healing. And maybe before possibilities of healing, let's create spaces for reconciliation, because this will bring justice. And what brings me the first connection with grandparents, I witnessed my grandparents who survived the Nakba. And when they would tell stories back then about the Nakba, as a child, I often thought they are exaggerating. It can't be. It can't be. It's you know, the mind of elderly people, they start exaggerating and so. And when I see what is happening in Gaza now, I know that they were saving from me lots of painful details. And to look into how history repeats itself unless we do the reparation, unless we do the inner work. And when we, as a collective, look into our global mirror, there's a lot to be ashamed of, a lot to be, to acknowledge that values that we held up collectively are failed, not failing, failed and continue being failing. Rotem mentioned the looting that is happening right now in Gaza, like not only one mirror, but a whole society, a whole city, a whole nation, a whole narrative, a whole story is being destroyed. And then the question, how do we go on? I'm sure each one of us as individuals looking into the atrocities that are happening and the most brutal genocide that is filmed online, on your face, on your living room, there's no way to escape it. And with the recognition that none of us alone is able to do anything, but with the same recognition that together we are able to do a lot. And what mirror we are looking at? Like, how do we see ourselves and our collective narratives? And now I'm very aware that the calling comes from Eva, a Jewish body, a Jewish person, and also Danielle as a Jewish person. I watched this movie together with you last year in our activist retreat here in Tamera, and got to know the people who are acting behind. And then the question, when we belong to a collective that have been a victim and now is victimizing, and not only victimizing right now, but already victimized 76 years ago, and have a plan to continue erasing another nation. Wow. And also to see how is the trauma of the uprising of the 7th of October, how it was used to activate that trauma in the Jewish people in a very systematic way. How do we, when we are peace workers and people who are working on changing consciousness, how do we take courage in these moments to rise up a different voice, a different stand for life, not a stand for this side or that side? I come from the Bedouin tribes, the indigenous people of Palestine, and we've been erased as indigenous tribes, and back then and also now. And one thing that comes from our teaching is that knowing that history and the roles will keep repeating until we take the lesson and correct it. So I feel that history, with all the pain, is providing us now, all of us, but especially Jewish people, a golden opportunity to what happened 76 years ago. And your parents who were traumatized by the Holocaust could not take a stand. Now you have an opportunity to stand for something different, which will not be popular, will not be welcomed by the majority of your people. But let's look at that mirror of what a golden opportunity. And look at me, I'm a person whose collective is being genocide online. And nevertheless, I am ready with you to say, here, there is a golden opportunity for us to act in the name of our ancestors who were traumatized back then and could not take a stand for life. Can we now take that stand? And that's the mirror that I invite us to look into it. So the future generations can look back to us and say, wow, they faced almost the same, and actually bigger and more difficult and more painful, but they took a different stand. What an opportunity. Yeah, maybe this so far.
Thank you, Aida. I really appreciate how we're using the mirror metaphor, and I take that invitation from you to keep looking into that mirror. And personally for me, you know, as you said, as a Jewish person living now in America, descended recently from Holocaust survivors and Jewish resistance fighters against Nazis. I'm taking that challenge every day and trying to figure out how to be with that and where to challenge and where to have keep my heart open. And also acknowledging, like, I do have family and friends in Israel and in Palestine, and then I have the whole American context to work with. So it's very complex, and I really take all of your inquiries to heart. And so now I want to pass it back to Danielle if you have anything you want to add in response to what the panelists said, and then we'll open it up. Our last part will be more audience getting to interact with all the panelists, Danielle, Ismail, Aida.
Could I add something before?
Yeah, so first you and then Danielle.
Thank you so much. I want to add two things. One thing related to October 7. Since 2007 until October 7, before October 7, 16,800 Palestinians get killed just from Gaza. 6,800 kids. And for me, to use the trauma, to use the Jewish trauma from the Holocaust to justify, to go, to do same thing to other people, that's thing not acceptable. Like I am as a Palestinian, because I suffer, I use my suffering and my trauma to go to do it to other people now, that's thing, something for me, I cannot understand it. We should, both of us, use our trauma for good thing, not to go to do same thing to other people. Thank you, Eva.
Thank you. Okay, so Danielle, if you want, or you can pass anything that you want to respond to everything that was just shared.
Yeah, I'd like to say a few quick things. First of all, someone said like, where are these people now? Yeah, like the people that the mirror was taken from. So actually, most of the people of Zarnuga went to Gaza, and so yeah, we know probably where they are. I mean, almost all of them. I don't know, it was 70 years ago, but and yes, there actually I saw a few people sent me Instagram reels of this report in Cannes in the Israeli television about this mirror. Like there is a kind of a news item about a mirror that was stolen from Khan Yunis, and they're talking about it in the like kind of like main television. You know, it's just on the screen on the television. So Rotem was asking, how is this going to be denied? I don't think it's going to be denied because no one is even feeling the need to hide it. And this is, I mean, so this is, for me, this is kind of like an extreme version of the mirror story, because like in our mirror, in the one in my family's house, the mirror was never hidden. And this is what I was surprised about, because I was like, how come we're not hiding this secret? What kind of secret is it that we're not hiding it? So yeah, we're still in this situation that people can see this looting and don't tag it this way, you know? So this is, we're talking about the story, the feeling, the activation, the ideology, the narrative, whatever you call it, is so strong that it really hinders empathy. This is what we're saying, that it's stronger than the natural response that human beings have to the pain of other human beings. I believe it's a very natural response. And at the moment, the story is so strong. Not at the moment, yeah, all the time, but now even more than always. So there's really no one to talk to, I feel, in Israel. I wanted to ask Aida more about what she expressed, to be more specific. I'm asking because I hear you're calling and I want to understand more what you're asking, what you're inviting, what you're guiding. Because I admit it, for me, there is a big sense of, okay, yeah, what am I going to do? Sign the petition, write a post on Facebook? Okay, Danielle Schwartz said she is against the war in Gaza, the war in Gaza. So I feel really powerless. And I definitely see myself kind of, history is also repeating itself in the fact that I'm not in Israel in the last few months. I left the country and I'm just looking for a place where I can live safely. And I'm realizing now I'm trying to get a European passport, and I'm looking back in my generations into my great-grandmother that also left Europe in 29 because she was looking for a place where she can just have safe life, and because her family was all slaughtered in a pogrom and she was a baby without growing an orphan, without a parents, and raised by her aunt. And these people just wanted also to just leave me alone from all of your wars. I just wanna live my life, and I feel like this power is so strong in me, especially after there is something that, I came here, I'll share a very short personal experience that I came here to Germany a few weeks after the war started, and everybody were looking at me and like with this sad face of, oh, the war refugee. And I had the like imposter syndrome, because I was like, okay, really, this is a refugee. It's like a bourgeois refugee, but like a silver spoon. But when more and more as I'm here, I'm realizing that why was I feeling like an imposter? Because the war did not start on the 7th of October. I've come from a place where there was non-stop war for the last 40 years. So I have so much strong in my body, just this need to just be safe and be quiet. So I totally also understand the need to put my head underneath a big pile of whatever and not open the news. I also have that part in me, and what can I do? So I just really wanted to share that and to ask.
Thank you, Danielle. Really, really real sharing. So now we can have people come off mute and share more questions. If your question wasn't answered before and it's still present, you can say it, or you can put in a chat. And then this is the last few minutes for the panelists to share, including Danielle and everybody, to share your answers. And if you don't have a question, but you want to give them a particular brief reflection, you can also do that. And then in a few minutes, I'll lead us towards closure and action opportunities. So go ahead and raise your hand if you would like to speak, or just chat it. Kent. Let's unmute you, Kent.
So, yeah, I'm just looking forward to what we can do. What we can do about this. It's a tragedy that strikes us all, and I wish we could do more to stop the war. So if you can have a session on that, I'd be happy to listen. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, what we can do.
Maybe I could share a few things now also as an answer to Danielle. Because as a sacred political activism, I have a lot to offer what to do. And it comes from a deep conviction that we are able. I believe that the systems of oppression have taught us now for so many years to bring us to this place of powerlessness and this place of separation. And so we stopped believing in our ability to act. But these systems of oppression are fed by us. And with all the respect to you, Danielle, and really, you know me, and you know that absolutely respect this place of like, hello Annie, I just want to be safe, like khalas, how much one can take it, and maybe it's not yours now, maybe you need to restore something in you. But I am calling to those who have capacity, those who have ability to act now and say, first of all, Jewish people, you have a huge privilege to act and imagine. Maybe Eva, you can share a dream that I wrote some weeks ago, just came to me in the morning, of seeing Jewish people mobilizing yourself, go to Tel Aviv, go wear white, take food with you, take water, and go to the border of Gaza and stand as a human chain. You will be beaten, you will be insulted, maybe you will get, some of you will get shot. Be ready for that, but stand there with an act of non-violent and standing for life, not in my name. Those of you who's able, go there and with your body, because if you don't put your skin on the game, you won't take it personal. You are privileged, you are far away, you are not impacted personally. If you can't go with your body, mobilize others, mobilize demonstrations in the streets. Look, people, 11 months ago, the Jewish people, the Israeli people, and I changed between Israeli Jewish, because we have to be aware how much the system wants us to mix all of this, and there is very big differences. I differentiate between Jewish, Israeli, Zionist, and all of this, and this is very important to take it serious. Jewish people and Israelis were in the streets to take this government down for good reasons. And then the government took it back. And now 6 months genocide, where many of you are traumatized, but also your trauma being instrumentalized. We need to recognize that the activating the fear will put us in this place of powerlessness. So act in your body, act with your money, act against this government, and create alternatives for these systems of oppression. Because as long as we are using the capitalist system, the imperialist system, the colonial system and thoughts, and running a life that is based on behalf of other people, we are feeding the war with our gasoline consumption, our othering. When we other people, when we think that other people are less or even better than us, that lower and higher is part of the system. When we believe in separation, and there is lots to do, Danielle, and lots to do for all of us. There is a lot to do, and I don't want to take all the time, but I can also share with you texts that I wrote about this.
Yeah, thank you. I will send your beautiful dream vision out in the follow-up email, as well as
And also to raise with you now, this cup of tea is breaking our fast. I was born as a Muslim. I don't practice Islam, but now with the genocide and the starvation of my people, I fast. I fast as an act of solidarity. And I invite also all of you, if you can now, take a sip of water, make it a prayer for food and nourishment for the people of Gaza. If you want, join me every Friday. Lots of people are fasting Ramadan as a solidarity action, and allow yourself to feel it. We have to feel things. We have to bring the stories closer to us.
Thank you, Aida.
Ramadan Kareem.
Ramadan Kareem. Thank you for the invitation to fast. I joined you in that this week. It was a powerful opportunity. Now let's take 1 or 2 more audience questions, and then closing words from all panelists if you want, and Danielle. Anyone else have a question or comment? Carolyn.
First of all, I just want to say thank you very much. This has been a very wonderful interaction altogether, to hear everyone's voices. It's, I mean, in a time where there's a lot of Zoom meetings and a lot of different things, this has been, I think, really just very heartfelt and very powerful. So I'm really grateful for that. I think that what I struggle with, I mean, I would love to phrase it as a question, because it's the question that I've been turning over again and again in my head. You know, and it's very much what happened in the film with Daniela. What do you say when people, I mean, there's a time and there's a place somehow to have conversations with people, and it's hard to accept that a lot of what we're saying will fall on deaf ears. I think, especially with family, with people that are close to us. Yeah, when to push, when to accept, when to give things time, when there's no time, when there's this feeling of urgency that time is really running out. So yeah, it's a thought. It's not even a full question, but you know, I think it's hard. It's hard for me to talk to my own family about seeing the things that they don't want to see. And, you know, it's also difficult for me to speak with friends and allies even here on the side of Palestine here in Germany sometimes. You know, like the struggle also, yeah, it's maybe too complicated. I've lost my train of thought. But I mean, I think that there are so many blind spots, and I especially struggle with my Israeli friends who are starting groups here or trying to start groups here, and are then completely flabbergasted that there are no Palestinians that want to participate in their groups when they haven't done the work of clearing up their blind spots. And it's like it's just kind of tragic.
Yeah, thank you, Carolyn. I hear you. And I hear some of the essence of that. Not everything is just like how to know when and where to act and where to put what attention. So maybe we hear any closing words from Danielle, Ismail, Aida, and Rotem, and then I'll end with some action opportunities.
Yeah, I think, you know, when I talk to people in Israel right now, the situation in the country is very, very bad. I mean, in many respects. And one of the things is that people, I talked to a friend now in Israel, and he told me, like, we can't even talk about the future because no one can imagine a future. So you just need not to talk about it, because if anyone thinks, okay, how is my future going to look? Look, should I buy a house? Okay, a couple, they want to start their life. Where should we go? Where should we start the life? There is no feeling of any place, first of all, that is really safe. And there's, I think, no, I mean, people don't say it this way, but I think a very brutal way to say it is to say, how will they ever forgive us? You know, they will never forgive us for what we did. So we're never going to have any peace now. I mean, of course, I'm kind of like dubbing this very flat, caricaturistic voice. I mean, I don't pretend that this includes all the... I have a very good friend who is very much involved and supportive of like my film, and very supportive of what it promotes, and recognizes the Nakba and makes fun of like Zionist colonialism all the time. But when the war started, he volunteered to the army because he felt that his 4 children are in threat, and he has to go to the army and take a weapon to protect them. And as he was there, I was in contact with him, and I was like, keep sending pictures and memes and like, look at what you're doing, and you're creating disaster, and you have to stop it now because it's just, we're going to pay for it, and everybody's going to pay for it for the next 100 years and more. And all the time he just was like, there was no one to talk to. And then I saw your message. I'm finishing, Eva. And now he's out of the army, and he tells me, and I kept saying, like, don't take, yeah, and now he's out of the army, and he's telling me, oh, now I think, what have we done? I look at what have we done and what have we done. So it's like, okay, we have to get people to feel safe somehow. I don't know how. Bring everybody to Germany. Yeah, actually, this is an idea that I am promoting. If we had more time, I will maybe give more details about this. This is the only thing I found when I'm trying to think about solution, and I'm saying, really, maybe the colonial empires will finally really take responsibility and just invite everyone who wants to serve their life to come, come back. It's not enough to just celebrate the commemoration of the Holocaust. Actually, bring the people back.
Thank you, Danielle.
Sorry.
No,
It's radical, but I think it has a grain of
brainstorm. Okay, any closing words from others? Rotem, Ismail, Aida.
I want to say,
Yeah, Ismail.
I want to say this is a time of a truth to each human being with himself. And the history will remind everything. And the whole of humanity watching what happened now. You could decide to be with the genocide, who are with the side of the people who, or with the part of who do the genocide, or you could decide to be with the side of a humanity. And it is you, where you're gonna be. And where you want to see yourself, and how you want to see your children looking at you in the future. Anything you do, make change. Even simple thing. If you go on to stand fighting the war, you make change. If you do boycott, you make change. If you raise your voice, you make change for everyone, for Israeli and Palestinian. Thank you.
Thank you for that invitation to keep looking in the mirror and doing our work. Rotem, would you like to end with anything?
So first, I feel like we Jews were privileged on the land, but we are also privileged in Europe and in the States. And like my personal experience in Germany for the last 5 months was that if I wasn't there, walking with Osama together, he's from Jericho, and giving the talks together, they will not give him the space to speak because they are not interested in his voice. But the fact that I could be there and we could speak together, it made his voice legitimate. And I think we Jews, we Israelis, we should just use our privileges. And it's not only in Israel, it can be from Germany, it can be from the States. But yeah, the way this corrupted world is built is that white people have more privileges and more power and more legitimacy. And we should use the privileges. And also how much I would say healing, or it made my whole experience easier when I brought my voice, when I decided to speak. Because in Germany I felt, okay, I'm doing something, I'm changing something, people are coming to listen to what I have to say. And here I came back to the land, and for the first few days I was depressed because I felt no one is interested in my voice anymore, and why am I here if I cannot make a change? So I feel like the fact that you can, or you feel at least that you have some kind of way to change, to affect the horrific situation, is actually making dealing with it more easy. And when you go to your small place and you don't want to read, you don't want to listen, you just want to take care of yourself, it will take you down, because we cannot really close our eyes. Like in these days, like we will know what is happening, and it will run after us to wherever we go. And I believe the more, even like the more safe and healing for ourselves, even as individuals, is to take responsibility. For me, at least, it was much easier when I decided, okay, I'm going to be active. I'm not going to run away from the situation. And I believe, like, we have a lot of work to do, more specifically on the land here. Like, we have a lot of work to do with each other, to learn how to forgive, to learn how to take responsibility. And we need those who are aware to what is happening, because the majority here, they are still in ignorance and rejection. And so I invite anyone who has the motivation and the compassion to come and to take part in this important work.
Yeah, thank you, Rotem. Aida, did you want to say a closing word as well?
Yeah, I want to say that we really, as a collective, we don't know how the universe is working, and it's good to humble ourselves on looking to life and having teachings from life. I say this because up till this genocide, for the last maybe 8 years, I was telling myself, you know, Aida, I devoted my life for freeing Palestine, and maybe I'm not going to see it in my own lifetime, and it's okay. I came to terms with it and said it's not in my lifetime. I will still continue working for liberating Palestine and liberation for all, but maybe it's not going to happen in my lifetime. And guess what? With the depth of the pain that is going through all my cells now, there is that crack of light and crack of hope is coming actually closer to the thing that I closed and I said I'm not going to see free Palestine in my lifetime. Now that light is coming back. And I say this because we sometimes we learned in humanity that the pain has to go so deep and so profound till we wake up. And the world is in a wake-up movement. And I invite you to that, to be pioneers of that wake-up movement. Don't read it in books. Be the ones who make it. And I have hope. I have hope because I trust life, and I trust healing, and I trust love. And because I love, I'm able also to say, no, I love you as a human being, but I will not agree to your actions. And that's for me the heart of nonviolence. Loving you and yes, condemning your actions, but not condemning you. And this is what I would love to see as a collective possibility, to say no for the Israeli government, and to say yes to Jewish people. And also to remember, we are not the only people who went through genocide or wars. Let's look to 800 years of Irish people being occupied, South Africa, colonialism, Africa, America Latina. And in some point, people have to take an opportunity in history and make a shift. We are at the door of that shift, so let's use it.
Amen. I mean, thank you, Aida. Thank you, everyone who shared with us so personally, Danielle, Rotem, Ismail, Aida, and all of the beautiful audience reflections. So now we are going to share with you just a few opportunities that are inadequate, but some that I promote are some organizations that you can consider throwing some money at. There is Heal Palestine is a group that Aida shared with me that is providing direct aid and food in Gaza. And there's Palestine Children's Relief Fund. And then there's Natal, which is doing trauma work in Israel. And then there's Combatants for Peace, which is the group that Ismail shared about, that is building nonviolent activism and solidarity with Palestinians and Israelis. So those are just some of the many beautiful work that you can donate to, and also get on their listservs and join their movements, because they're more than just needing money. They're also needing support because they often are in the minority. Also, there is a link to purchase Danielle's film. If you're watching this recording, but you didn't come to this event, you can get the film and watch it so you know what we were speaking about. And if you're interested in supporting Danielle to continue sharing this very relevant, powerful film, you can get in touch with her by filling out the spreadsheet, and she will reach out to you and see if you can collaborate on putting on a screening like this in your community, either in person or virtually. Also, if you want to PayPal Danielle and support her for this film, which we're offering for free today out of love, you can do that. And finally, we will email out some more about each of our panelists and the work that they're individually doing and their journeys. So I just invite you all to put in the chat a closing word. All panelists and participants, a closing word or two of what you're taking or what you're feeling from this 2 hours that we've spent together. I see gratitude and willingness and touched, rekindled motivation, owning truths, humility, mobility, hope, connection, starting, fear, curiosity. We start here where we meet, and complication and the need for stories and listening. Thank you all. Deep bow for you all. Hope this planted a little seed of goodness that will spread out. Thank you for joining us on this Saturday, and please be in touch if you have any feedback for me on this event. We could do more and keep improving, and much love.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eva. Thank you, tout le monde. Everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you.